for the sake of his sorrowful passion, have mercy.
Should be live. I'll wait till you all are able to hear me. Oops. Any minute now. All right, I think we are audible, and we will be on the air in a little bit, in about a minute. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Hope all of y'all are having an incredible morning. A wonderful Friday morning. A wonderful Friday morning, everybody. Happy to be with all of you all. Thrilled and pumped to be with all of y'all. Indeed, we're going to dive in to the 7 deadly sins. All right, let me see. Drop the link. Oops. Okay. All right, any moment, faithful, we'll be live. Y'all pumped? Y'all ready?
Catholic commentary. Spiritual warfare. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Jesus 911.
And we are live, everybody, on a wonderful Friday morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are all are tuning in. As I always tell you, we're happy to be here. We're going to now conclude what we began a few days ago. We began talking about capital sins, 7 deadly ones. What are they? Where do you find them in the Bible? How did the church even come about to talking about them, to laying out what the ramifications are and what have you? We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to dive back in, and we're going to remind you today that if you have anything on your mind about the topic, about prayer, reparation, anything in regards to the topic or on the 7 capital sins, we're going to dig our hand in the mailbag as well, but our hand gets dug into the mailbag in the second half of the show. Happy to be with all of y'all. If you do have questions, we'll tackle them in the second half of the show. Right now, we're going to dive in and remind you all, we are live. What are you all enjoying to drink today? Diet Coke, maybe? Maybe you're enjoying a coffee. Maybe you're in the part of the world where you're enjoying a beer. Or we know that it could be afternoon, evening, depending on where you all are tuning in the world. Happy to be with all of you all, and indeed thrilled and pumped to dive in to a really, really important topic. And the important topic really does get to the heart of the issue of our faith, because this is important. What does the Bible show you? Now, when we talk about the 7 deadly sins, which ones are we talking about? What are we indeed, dialoguing about? Well, to be very clear, we're talking about pride, envy, wrath, sloth, greed, gluttony, lust. Now, the Bible itself teaches the root nature of sin. The Bible lays it out very, very clearly. And today we are going to dive in. We're going to show you all very clearly how this is biblical and how the early church fathers talked about it as well. We're going to have a lot of fun diving into all that. And we want to remind you all as well that the Bible teaches the root nature of sin. Now, what is that? Well, in the book of James, we're told in James 1:14-15, which is a foundational text. It tells you, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. That is something to really think about. Why do we think about that? Wrap your mind around that. Because what does sin do? What does sin indeed cause? Well, indeed, it causes spiritual death. There's no doubt about that. It does cause spiritual death. So when it's talking about death here, it is talking about spiritual death. At the very core of it, yes, we know that very clearly. That is what the author of James, the author, is talking about here. But the more and more we dive in, we realize that these spiritual diseases of the soul, they're not merely external acts. They're deep interior dispositions, and they corrupt the heart. They indeed do corrupt the heart. And from the earliest of times, we have great early fathers like St. John Cassian, Evagrius of Pontus or Ponticus, to medieval theologians and titans like the great St. Aquinas, St. Thomas Aquinas. So we're going to look at that today. We're going to dive into all of that. And we're going to show you that the church from the very beginning has always taught this very theological principle. And in fact, the church has always taught that these sins, they damage your relationship with God, with your neighbor, with yourself too. And to point out that the capital sins indeed, they're not random. We need to be very clear. They're not random. They really, they're kind of what Aquinas would refer to as a roadmap of the fallen human condition, because we are fallen. We are fallen, and the Bible lays that out very clearly. In fact, pride is considered, indeed, look at what pride is referred to as. The beginning of pride, Sirach 10. Look at that. We got a Deuterocanonical book. Don't you love that? We get to dive into the Deuterocanon today. Do I have any Deuterocanon lovers in the audience? Anybody that loves our Deuterocanon, loves to defend the canon? Anybody in the audience? Sirach 10, 12 to 13. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from God, and his heart is turned away from his maker. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. So what do we see there? What do we see? Now, to be very clear, pride is self-exaltation over and above God. And Sirach lays it out. Pride is the beginning of sin. That's powerful. Because we know, according to the Bible, is sin of Lucifer, of Adam and Eve in Genesis. And Genesis 3:5 tells you, for God does know that in the day that you eat of it, then your eyes will be open, and you shall be as gods. Okay, what does that mean exactly? Well, the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 397, tells you it directly connects pride to the fall. Man, tempted by the devil, let his trust in his Creator die in his heart. And the great Titan, the amazing Augustine, tells you it was pride that changed angels into devils. It is humility that does make men as angels. There it is. We all need to be humble, faithful. We all need to be humble. And if I need to remind anybody, I'll remind you all throughout this incredible show today on a Friday morning, Friday afternoon. Depending on where you all are tuning in, we are very happy to be with you all. We're thrilled and we're pumped on a wonderful Friday. And indeed made wonderful by you all being here and tuning in. And we thank you for being here. We thank you for tuning in. And we want to remind you all, if you do want to dialogue about this, we'll provide a call-in number later. But you don't have to call in. You can send your question in. We dig our hand into what we like to call the mailbag later on in the show. So this is clearly why when we read about heresies in the early church, they probably almost always stem from pride. Yeah, I mean, we can probably argue that they always do stem from pride. How can we argue that? Well, when you put your own judgment over and above the church, well, that's pride. When you are saying, well, I am the one that decides the truth over and above, or like Luther, well, I am not going to submit. Like the Protestant Reformation, I am my own authority. They were their own authority. I know what they're going to say. I know people are going to say, no, we believe the Bible to be the only sole infallible authority. Look, I know that ultimately it comes down to this. It comes down to how they are reading the Bible and giving their own private interpretation. It doesn't really come down to the Bible being any kind of authority. The real authority is you. That is pride. And that is why pride is incredibly dangerous. Because what does it do? Well, I'll tell you what it does. It annihilates obedience. And without obedience, you're going down a dangerous road. You're going down a dangerous road. And we can't recommend that in any way. Very problematic, faithful. Very problematic. And that is why pride is so incredibly dangerous. And then we think about envy. We've talked about envy as well. Hating another's good. Wisdom 2:24 tells you, indeed, envy is sorrow over another's blessing. Why? Because naturally we're fallen, we're messed up. We covet all kinds of things. We're filled with anger, filled with pride, with envy. Wisdom 2:24 tells you. We're told in the book of wisdom, nevertheless, through envy of the devil, death came into the world. There you go. Because of the devil. So envy truly is diabolical. I mean, it mirrors the devil himself. Think about that. And the book of James, chapter 3:16 tells you, for where envying and strife is, which is division, there is confusion and every evil work. Wrap your mind around that. Because the catechism really does hammer it home. Catechism of the Catholic Church 2539. Envy is sadness at the sight of another's goods and the immoderate desire to acquire them for oneself. What does envy lead to? Well, envy will lead to hatred. Envy will lead to division. Envy will lead to violence. And we have that front and center in Cain, don't we, in Genesis 4:8. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and he killed him. In regards to that passage, the great Saint Cyprian, he warned, envy is the root of persecution within the church itself. Cyprian's writing in the 200s, but he was right, because what would come would really give us evidence of that, because what was right around the corner was Paul of Samosata was condemned. And then later on, Arius as well. Think about that. Think about that in your mind. And remember how the early church knew this. Envy just doesn't want what others have. It wants others to be annihilated, to lose it. Envy is filled with such hatred. It is the poison of rivalry, of being jealous, division within the body of Christ. What is the cure? There are cures to all of this. What is the cure? Well, the cure is charity. But at times when we're filled with envy and anger, we don't have that charity. We don't have that charity. That is why we got to be prayered up, faithful. We've got to be praying. We got to get to the sacraments. We got to learn that really, really these sins are going to eat away at us. They're going to annihilate us, and they're going to ruin us. Faithful, we've got a lot more to come on the other side of the break. Happy Friday morning. We love being here with you. We'll be back in just a moment. Phenomenal question, Mr. Freddie DeJesus. How you doing today, brother? Hope you're doing incredible. That is a great one. And that is the first one we're going to tackle when we dig our hand in the mailbag. Brother, how you doing today? How's your family? How are you? Hope you're doing well. Happy to be with all of you all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. And yes, we will dig our hand in the mailbag in the second half of the show. Hope you all are having a good one. One moment. All righty there. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Gary 2.0, how you doing, man? Gary 2.0 is here, man. Hope y'all are having a great one. Hope y'all are having a wonderful morning, man. How's the weather like where you all are at? Mm-hmm. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Dear Lord Jesus, kindly help us to think often on the manner in which we are following you. Like Saint Clare.
Y'all are not going to want to go anywhere. We've got a lot of info we got for you all. A lot of info. We've done a lot of research into this. A ton of research. And we're almost back from the break.
Buying or selling your home or your business property? This is Terry Barber. Real Estate for Life underwrites the Terry and Jesse Show. And they can connect you to one of 900 pro-life real estate agents around the world. And when they receive their referral fee, they will give 80% of it to a pro-life organization. Wow, that's 80%. Realestateforlife.org, 877-LIFE-US1.
And we are back, faithful. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you all are in the world. What a happy Friday we've got today. What a wonderful Friday. Are you all pumped? You're thrilled and pumped. Maybe you're at work. Maybe it's time for the weekend for you. You're going to relax. You're going to take a nap. You're going to just have a great time. You're thrilled and pumped like me to get to Holy Mass. What is it? You're probably happy. It's a happy Friday. Well, we're here to remind you it's a wonderful Friday. We're kicking off the weekend on a great, great note, reminding you we're talking about the 7 capital sins. And we don't usually dig our hand into the mailbag as early as we're doing right now, but we're doing it right now because I saw a great question coming in, a great one from the legendary Mr. Freddy de Jesus. So it really does fit in perfectly because we're about to talk about that. The Incredible Brother says, how have the lists of deadly sins developed and changed among the church fathers over time? Well, you came to the right place, my friend. Thank you for your incredible support. Thank you for your fantastic question. You came to the right place because today, that's what we're talking about. And we've dug in and we've looked up what the early church fathers do have to say. And we've got the earliest, we want to call the earliest root, and that is in Evagrius Ponticus in the 300s. Yep, you got it. A desert father, I don't know, probably 370-ish or maybe 380-ish, who really does give the first systematic listing. And he'll do that and he'll list them, but pay attention because we're going to show you how this will then evolve to where we've got it now. He will list 8 evil thoughts. He calls them logismoi. Logismoi, my brother Freddy de Jesus. He'll say number 1 is gluttony, then fornication, 3rd, avarice, 4th, sadness, 5th, anger, 6th, acedia, 7th, vainglory, and 8th, pride. That will be the first time we ever have a kind of structured enumeration in history. Now, right, we don't yet have 7. We've got 8. We'll talk about how later on that is still a very important numbering. Now, we're talking here about a desert father. So this is very early on, a desert father. And then right around the very same time period, brother Freddy de Jesus, you got John Cassian, Saint John Cassian, who will bring it onward to the West. Now, we like to call the great Saint John Cassian a bridge between the East and West. He will preserve Evagrius in the Latin world. In his Institutes, Book 5, he writes, there are 8 principal vices which assault the human race. Remember what he's doing? He's copying Evagrius Ponticus. He's merely preserving his writing, copying it, ensuring that it is preserved, and he will tell you that there are 8 principal vices. Gluttony, fornication, avarice, anger, sadness, acedia, vainglory, and pride. Remember, he's copying Evagrius of Ponticus. And he's not copying him in a malicious manner. He's copying him to preserve his writing, transmitting that into the Latin church. where it wasn't there before. Now, when do we finally get it reduced to 7? You got it in the magisterium. You get it in the Pope. Pope St. Gregory the Great. We're there now. And we were about to get there. Mr. Freddie de Jesus, we love you dearly, brother. Great question. Thank you for your phenomenal one. Now, Pope St. Gregory will then reduce it to 7. And it comes right around between 540 to 600. Where in his Morale in Job, book 31, he will reorganize that list, or depending on how on the critical text you're looking at, it could be numbered differently. But he will note, for from pride arise envy, anger, sadness, avarice, gluttony, and lust. Here's what Pope St. Gregory the Great is doing. He is removing vainglory, and we want to hear what you all have to think. Do you agree with what Pope St. Gregory did? You, the audience, tuning in. We want to hear from you all. We love hearing from you all. And again, we'll provide a call-in number. You can call in the second half of the show, or you don't have to call in. You can send a chat in, and we'll tackle that. We want to hear from you. Do you agree with what Gregory did? We're very curious. We'd love to know. Do you agree with what he did? Here's what he did. He removed vainglory. He absorbed into pride. It becomes absorbed into pride. Do y'all agree with that? We want to know if you agree with that. I, in my opinion, agree with him. I agree with the great Pope, St. Gregory the Great. And I think the way that he then does focus in the list, I prefer it. He will merge sadness with acedia, and he will then show we got it established in 7 sins right there. That is the moment where 7 deadly sins, can we say, I suppose, I can't say that they're born because they're already there in the Bible, but perhaps laid out in their classical form. And I'd love to hear from you all. And yes, we do want to thank you all. Thank you all for your support. Your support allows us to be here and to do what we're doing. You all are incredible. You all are phenomenal. We love you all dearly. And we're going to dig our hand deeper into the mailbag in the second half of the show. But what do you think? Do you agree with Pope St. Gregory the Great? I do. I agree. And Gregory's structure will then become what we know as the standard. And I agree with it. And in his particular structure, he's going to lay out pride, envy, wrath, sloth, which is acedia, avarice, gluttony, and lust. And he's going to emphasize their causal nature. I know you all are thinking, okay, what's their causal nature? He will emphasize their causal nature. He'll tell you these deadly vices are the heads from which all sins spring. That is why they're called capital. Not because they're the worst, but because they are, according to Pope St. Gregory, generative. They're generative. And that is why they're laid out the way that they are. That is why he does speak about them the way, we agree with the way he does. We agree with the way that he lays it out. And he does it in a very important fashion, faithful. A really, really important one, to where we need to realize this is really important. Really, really important to really understand the theological precision being laid out here. And one particular thing that is really good, he'll go on to laying out, okay, how do we deal with wrath? How do we deal with all these issues? Now, we left off before the break. We're talking about envy. Now we get to wrath. And Pope Gregory will also talk about that. What is wrath? That is disordered anger. That is seeking vengeance. Ephesians 4. Be you angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Neither give place to the devil. Now, not all anger is sinful, but wrath is anger out of control. That is why Matthew 5:22, right there in the context of purgatory, because it is talking about post-mortem judgment. Heaven, hell, purgatory, Matthew 5:22, leading up to the language of the prison in the afterlife, where you're not going to get out until you pay the very last penny. But he tells you in Matthew 5:22, whoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. The Catechism lays it out very clearly for you. Lays it out in a very clear fashion. Because as it lays it out, if anger reaches the point of a deliberate desire to kill or seriously wound, it's the Catechism, it is gravely against charity. Catechism of the Catholic Church 2302. So historically, what has wrath led to? led to wars, schisms, violence within Christian communities, led to all kinds of terrible things. And church councils have gathered where they've had to address divisions that have been caused by wrathful disputes. Paul of Samosata, Arius, Nestorius, and I can go on and on. The things that come to my mind immediately are the Christological controversies, where all charity really was lost. Wrath will blind you. You will not be able to reason when you are wrathful. You cannot reason. And I have yet to run into a person that is able to reason when they are filled with wrath. That, faithful, that is why being prayered up and getting to confession and getting to the sacraments is so important. And people tend to not realize that. That is why it is so vitally important that we get to the sacraments, that we are prayered up, because when we're not, well, it opens the door to all kinds of terrible things. All kinds of terrible things. What about sloth? William, I don't feel like getting up and going to the gym, doing anything physical. Well, when we're talking about sloth, we're not talking about only physical laziness. We're talking about primarily spiritual laziness. Now, what sloth is, it is, like I said, not like, well, I don't want to get to the gym. I don't want to work out. I don't want to go jog. I don't want to do any of that. I want to relax. It is not that we're talking about primarily. Primarily, we're talking about spiritual apathy toward God. Maybe I don't want to pray today. Maybe I don't want to get to Holy Mass. Maybe I know that I've got to get to confession. I know it. In my heart of hearts, I know I've got to get to confession, but I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it. That is sloth. And the Bible tells me in Revelation 3:16, so then because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of thy mouth. I'll spit thee out of my mouth. And the Catechism tells you a seedy or a spiritual sloth goes so far as to refuse the joy that comes from God. Wow. Ever met somebody who's just always angry? They're always upset. They're never happy. They always want to cut other people down. They're always mad. They're always ticked off. And they never have anything nice to say. Well, there you go. According to the Catechism, they refuse the joy that comes from God. And we know that sloth that's why we were talking about the spiritual aspect of it. It rejects prayer. I don't want to pray. I don't want to get to Holy Mass and worship. I don't want to be disciplined. I don't want to avoid sinning. I don't want to avoid lusting. I'll do that later. No. Proverbs 24:30-31 tells you, I went by the field of the slothful, and lo, it was all grown over with thorns. Wow. Man, what does that mean? That means you've allowed sloth to take part in your life, to take root. Your life is filled up with all kinds of thorns. You got to chop them down. You got to get rid of them. And the early church fathers especially saw sloth as dangerous, especially for the monks, because it would lead to a loss of faith, to despair, and then ultimately to death. But what kind of death? Spiritual death. Spiritual death is what it would lead to. That is the scary part. That truly is something that should scare anyone. That should, keep you thinking. And the early church fathers also pointed to greed. Greed. That love and desire of all things financial. Greed is also disordered. 1 Timothy 6. For the love of money is the root of all evil. And faithful, we have so much more that we're going to dive into. We're barely getting started on a wonderful Friday morning. Faithful, you got to stick around. We got so much more coming on the other side of the break. We love you all dearly. We'll be back in just a moment. Enjoying it, man. How y'all having fun? Hope y'all are having a great one. Hope you all are loving it. We did the show because Ari wanted to watch and tune in. Ari never got up. Ari stayed asleep. Ari, what a hater you are. Faithful, we got a lot more to come. Who do we have in the audience? Who do we have? Who do we have? Shout out to the incredible Ralph. Finally alive. What is up, y'all? How you doing, Ralph? How you doing, my friend? Thank you for your support, brother. How's it going in your end, brother? How have you been, my friend? I know you've been busy, but how you doing, brother? Hope you're doing great, my friend. Enjoying the radio.
Welcome, Daniel. You're on the line. What's on your mind, brother?
Hi, I just wanted to share a testimony about Virgin Most Powerful Radio. I had a buddy at work who, he's a lukewarm Catholic guy, and I wanted him to start listening to the Terry and Jesse show, so I kept telling him.
All right, man. We got some great questions coming in. Yep. Good, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it, brother. Glad to have you here, my friend. The Lord bless you, brother. I will shout you out on the radio. I said thank you right now, but we're in a break. We're also in live radio. I will give you a shout out and an enormous thank you in live radio in a moment, brother. Having a great time, man.
Morning. He's an on-fire Catholic, and he promotes the Terry and Jesse show on the Virgin Most Powerful Radio.
Man, a wonderful, wonderful Friday morning. Gary 2.0, how you doing, brother? How are you doing, my man?
Buying or selling your home or your business property? This is Terry Barber. Real Estate for Life underwrites the Terry and Jesse Show. And they can connect you to one of 900 pro-life real estate agents around the world. And when they receive their referral fee, they will give 80% of it to a pro-life organization. Wow, that's 80%. realestateforlife.org, 877-LIFE-US1.
Welcome back, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you all are tuning in. We're very happy to be with you. Very thrilled and pumped to be live and on the air on a great Friday morning. Happy to be talking about the capital sins. Where do you find them in the early fathers, and where do you find them in the medieval fathers as well? We're going in deep. We're diving in deep. We're having a wonderful time and reminding you all this is a blast. And indeed, we left off where we were talking about greed. Greed. And the Catechism tells you avarice is the passion for riches and their attendant power. Take heed and be aware of covetousness. Covetousness, our Lord says in the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 12, verse 15. And throughout church history, the church has always condemned corruption, simony. At Trent, at the Council of Trent, financial corruption was condemned. It was condemned. And greed will enslave your soul. Greed will enslave your soul. Because what do you do when you're greedy? You replace God with money. You don't want to do that. You're replacing God with money. And then gluttony. Pope St. Gregory warned of gluttony, which, as we know, as we saw in part one of the show, is excess, but not only in food, perhaps in drink as well. Philippians 3:19 says, whose God is their belly, and the Catechism tells you the fifth commandment forbids excess, which is the abuse of food and alcohol. Gluttony is deeper than overeating. We got to remind you. People may think, well, what a glutton, he overeats. What a glutton, he drinks too much. But gluttony goes deeper than that. Indeed, gluttony is truly living for pleasure. That really is the heart of what gluttony is. And Proverbs 23:20-21 tells you, be not among wine bibbers. Now, everything in moderation. And the early church fathers said, you need discipline in your life. You need prayer in your life. You need virtue in your life. You need it because it will prepare the soul to battle against other sins. You don't want those other sins to begin creeping in, and they can, because there is what we know as the interconnected nature of sin. What is that interconnected nature? Well, these sins we know feed each other. They feed one another. An example, pride will lead to envy. Envy will lead to wrath. Wrath will lead to violence, all kinds of violence. In the Gospel of St. Mark, our Lord says in chapter 7, verse 21 and 23, "For from within proceed evil thoughts, and these evil things come from within, and they defile the man." The great St. Thomas says that each capital sin, these are his words. My goodness, I'm so glad that we're reading the early church fathers and that we're reading the medieval fathers as well. Each capital sin generates daughter sins. Wow. What is meant by that? That is why spiritual warfare must target the root. It's got to. Think about that. But there's always a cure. It's not just doom and gloom. It isn't just doom and gloom. The answer to this is virtue. The answer is virtue. And we want to remind you, audience, there's a call-in number. If you want to pick our brain, maybe you want to talk about virtue, about grace, about the 7 deadly sins, the call-in number is 1-877-526-2151. We'd love to hear from you. Or you can send your chat into the mailbag and we'll dig our hand. We already have a few that we're going to dig our hand into the mailbag. We already have a few. Yes, there is sound. We do have sound. So what is the cure? Well, for pride, it is humility. It's being humble. It is being humble. For envy, it's charity. For wrath, it is patience. For sloth, it is diligence. For greed, it's being generous to one another, giving to one another. For greed, generosity. For gluttony, it's temperance. We got to work on being on moderation. And a lot of the times it's hard for us. And for lust, it is chastity. For lust, it truly is chastity. That is why Galatians 5 tells you, Galatians 5:16, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Look at that. The Bible's already very well aware of all of this. The Bible is very, very well aware and clear of all this. And the church teaches and has always taught from the very beginning that grace will transform your soul. How? Yeah, I want to know how that does that, William. I want to know how. Well, we'll tell you this through the sacraments, through prayer, through discipline. We are healed that way. We need that inward healing. We all need it. Romans 6:14 tells you, for sin shall not have dominion over you, and you allow it, it will have dominion over you. It will grab root in you. And that battle is a real one. But the victory is in Christ. But we've got to put our trust in Christ. We have to put our trust in Christ. That's why the early church knew, and the medieval church knew as well. Because after Pope St. Gregory, the list began to spread widely through the monastic rules. I looked at monastic handbooks, through penitential manuals, through pastoral teaching. For example, the great St. Isidore of Seville will echo Pope St. Gregory the Great. And he will say, there are 7 principal vices from which all crimes arise. So Gregory's list has now become the standard in the church. Now that list is no longer an experimental one. Now that list is the standard one across the church. And I want to know, do you all agree with the list? I want to know if you all agree with it. Which is great if you think about it. It's fantastic. And we want to say a thank you, a hearty thank you to the amazing brother, the incredible supporter, Brother Ralph, who is tuning in live. We love you, Ralph. Thank you for tuning in live. Thank you for your incredible support. We hope you're loving the show. And our near and dear, incredible sister, the incredible Little Flower, says, God bless everyone. Little Flower, we hope you and your loved ones are doing incredible. We hope you're having a wonderful morning. We hope you're enjoying it. What are you drinking? Maybe you're drinking a coffee. Maybe you're enjoying some unsweet tea, or maybe you love some sweet tea, or maybe, who knows, you're drinking a lemonade. Whatever it is that you're drinking and enjoying, faithful, we love you all. We're glad that you're here. Thank you all for tuning in. And I want to remind you all, we are talking about 7 capital sins, but we're also going to dig our hand to the mailbag for you to tackle any and all questions. But if you prefer to call in, maybe you think in your mind, I want to call in. We'd love to hear from you. If that is a method you prefer, 1-877-526-2151. We'd love to hear from you in any way. Maybe you just want to send a chat in. We'll tackle that. Or maybe you want to call in. We'll dialogue with you there. You get to the medieval era. You get to the great angelic doctor, the great St. Thomas Aquinas. In his Summa Theologica, he lays out an incredible, precise theological explanation. I mean, you know you're always going to get a great one from the great angelic doctor. He tells you, a capital vice is one from which other vices arise, as from a head. He defends why there are exactly 7. He defends the way it was laid out from the great Pope St. Gregory the Great, and we agree with him. Who am I to disagree with the angelic doctor? Who am I to go against the great angelic doctor? Now, of course, we don't mean or believe every single saint got every single thing right. No, while we're on the earth, we're not perfect till we get to heaven. But Aquinas was a great titan. He got this right, and he defends why there are 7. He says, the number of capital vices is taken from the number of things which are chiefly desired. And he would note that this is part of systematic moral theology already at his time. Already at his time, it's already a part of that. And Aquinas and tradition are going to show you, as we've been showing you all throughout the show, pride is the root of all sin. That is why I'm so glad we had a chance to look at the book of Sirach. Anytime we get a chance to incorporate a deuterocanonical book, I love it. And each capital sin will correspond to a disorder desire, each of them. For example, gluttony, to the disorder in sustenance. Lust, the disorder in sexuality. Avarice, the disorder in possessions. So the list isn't kind of like an arbitrary one. No, as we mentioned earlier, it's a map. Think about it as like a map of fallen human desire. Think of it like as a map. And it really pretty much is like that. The more and more we dive into it, the more and more we look at it, the more and more that we study it. But there are ways of avoiding it as well. And indeed, the amazing, the incredible, the phenomenal brother, Mr. Freddie De Jesus, asked, all right, William, what everyday actions might Christians unintentionally engage in that could lead them to commit one of the 7 deadly sins? And I'm glad he's asking that. I am glad, because you're getting to the heart of the issue that a lot of people, they don't want to dialogue about it. Maybe they're avoiding because they think, well, this is too controversial. No, get that out of your head. We want to talk about this so we can learn better. We want to talk about this. We want to have open dialogue so we can learn and we can grow and we can help one another. And it's a powerful question because people don't trip and fall into a grave mortal sin overnight. That isn't going to happen. It will begin with little tiny things here and there, small daily habits that will shape your heart and they'll fester within your soul. So, number one, we want to thank Mr. Freddie De Jesus for his support. He's phenomenal. We love him dearly. We want to walk you through them. Again, we want to walk you through them because this is a very good, very, very good question. So we want to walk you through them. We want to really lay this out. Now, we want to remind you as well that everyday actions, they can unintentionally lead you there. Well, I'm not going to ever get there. No. Unintentional actions daily are going to be able to lead you there. And when we return to the other side of the break, we're going to go in deep, faithful. We got a lot more to go. You got to stick around. We'll be back in just a moment. And we are on a break. We're on a break, man. How's everybody doing today? Y'all having a great one, a wonderful morning, wonderful afternoon, wonderful evening, wherever you all are tuning in from. Da, 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 da. Thrilled and pumped to be with y'all, man. Thrilled and pumped. Gary 2.0, man. I love it, man. I love it, man. Ace Deadly Sin, smelly feet, man. And I'm probably going to have mine smell in a bit when I get to the gym. You clearly don't live in Texas, I tell you that. Yeah. There's never a time when we can be without AC. You clearly don't live in Texas. By the way, Mr. Freddie de Jesus, when we return from the break, we're going to continue tackling your super chat. Thank you for the support, brother. Thank you for your support, my friend.
Shelter, and the teachings of the Catholic Church. The mission is to help children thrive and become self-sufficient young adults leading productive lives. We also provide aid to poor families in Ecuador with food baskets, medicines, medical assistance, and help with funeral needs for the deceased. The work in India is done by Father Antonio's organization, St. Mary's. In Ecuador, the work is being done by the Servant Sisters of the Home of Mother. You can call us.
Hope you all are having a great one. Remember, I'll remind you all, depending on how many people we get up, depending on how many questions we get in, we may go half an hour more after the show ends, after we're off radio. Meaning after we're off the radio, we might go half an hour more or maybe even an hour more. We'll open it up for you all to come back here and we'll tackle any and all questions after we're off the radio. So don't go anywhere when we're off.
The referral fee, they will give 80% of it to a pro-life organization. Wow, that's 80%. Realestateforlife.org, 877-LIFE-US1.
And we are back, faithful, on a wonderful Friday morning, a wonderful Friday afternoon or evening, wherever you all are tuning in. We are beyond thrilled. We're beyond pumped to be with you. Are y'all enjoying the show? We hope you are. We'll remind you all, we're ready in the final stretch of the show. And we're going to miss you all. But we'll be back on Monday as we always are going to be. Monday morning back at 11 a.m. Central Time to 12 or 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're back again Monday, but right now we want to continue diving in. We want to remind you we're not done. If you want to call in, you want to ask a question, we got the call-in number. Or you can send in a chat and we'll tackle it. Right now is the time. The call-in number is 1-877-526-2151. We want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions. We're talking about a great one that Mr. Freddie de Jesus laid out for us. What are things that may lead to these? Now, pride, remember, is the root of all sin. Maybe you always need to win an argument. Even if you know you're wrong, you double down and you're never wrong in your mind. Well, you can combat that by practicing humility daily, working being humble daily. Then there's greed, Brother Freddie de Jesus, that disordered love of possessions, where you're obsessively checking, obsessively looking for material goals. You're downright obsessed with them. There is that as well. There is that as well, and that isn't good either. But how can you avoid that? How can one avoid that? Practice contentment. The Lord is my shepherd. This is difficult. This is a difficult one, but try to detach yourself from the worldly things by doing little things here and there, sacrifices here and there. And then for lust, of course, guard your eyes. If there is something that may be leading towards sin, cut it off. Cut it off. And of course, envy. Be happy for others. Now, here's the thing where today in this modern day and era, it's difficult. I can't wrap my mind around it, but it is true. People don't like to be happy for others. They're mad when others are doing well. They're not happy at that idea. I for the life of me, can't wrap my mind around that. They don't like when other people are doing well. So here's the one thing. Rejoice in others' blessings. And I'm happy for you. I'm thrilled for you and pumped for you. That's one way of doing it. Rejoice in others' blessings. And then gluttony, of course, practice fasting. And then for wrath, you got to pause before reacting. Get to confession more if you need to. So for sloth, here's one thing that the early and the medieval fathers did this. Here's a great piece of advice, Mr. Freddy de Jesus, that the medieval fathers did as well. They had set fixed prayer times where they would stop and they'd pray. They'd stop and pray. And that helped them remain grounded. That helped them remain holy. It isn't always easy. We know it's not always easy. We know that for a fact. We know for a fact that it's not always easy. But there are ways of trying to stay grounded. There are ways of trying to remain holy. There are ways of doing that. It isn't always easy, but it is our goal as we walk through this life. Mr. Freddy de Jesus, what a wonderful, what a thought-provoking question. And to remind you all are incredible. We'll remind you all, we still have time to dig our hand into the mailbag if you all have a question. Or if you all want to call in, we'd love to hear from you all. But we want to remind you all, this has been so much fun. We've never done this before. And indeed, we did such incredibly deep research. We read so much on the early fathers and on the medieval fathers like never before. Like never before. We want to remind you, by the time we get to the medieval era, the numbering of the 7 deadly sins was universal. It was universal in preaching. Even in art, you've got it in illuminated manuscripts. I was blown away when I saw that. It was already deeply embedded and interwoven into the catechesis of the church. It was there. So how can we trace this? And by the way, I want to thank all of you all that showed up today. And we want to give a shout out to the amazing brother, Gary Cotreau, Gary 2.0, who has given us an 8th deadly sin. And I think I might agree. Smelly feet. I know that I might agree there because I love brother Gary Cotreau. I love him. And we're going to be going to the gym in a moment. Well, we went earlier, but we're going for our second workout again in a moment. And that might definitely be listed as the 8th deadly sin, smelly feet. People, come on. You got to get that right. But we then remind you all, what is the trajectory? Number one, we have the deadly sins in the Bible. They're laid out there in the Bible. They are there. But they're also very clearly in the early church, because the early church fathers recognized, all right, we have them in the Bible. How are we going to number them? And when we finally reach a systemized numbering, we encounter Evagrius of Ponticus, who's writing in the 4th century. Evagrius of Ponticus is writing in the 4th century. Think about that. Think about that. He is writing in the 4th century. But look at the trajectory. Look at that. Because right after him, you've got St. John Cassian, who is preserving what he wrote. He's preserving it. He's preserving what Evagrius of Ponticus wrote by translating him into the Latin church. And then you get to the 500s, where Pope St. Gregory the Great finalizes the way those 7 sins are laid out. He'll finalize that particular list. Then we get to the medieval era, the Middle Ages. St. Thomas Aquinas has systemized it, and he's already letting you know it's all systematized all over the church world. We've already got it laid out in a particular way. We can see it. It's there. It is an early illuminated manuscripts. It's in the catechism. And it's in the modern day catechism as well. Or the modern church has retained that, rightly so, because it's in the Bible. So the church never invented the sins. They're there in the Bible. It refined how we number them. It didn't invent it. It refined how we number them. Important thing to think in mind. important thing to keep in mind, forgive me. I got to give it to you all. You all have asked incredible. Oh, we got a great one in the mailbag. She's here. We didn't know she was here. Shout out to the incredible Ari. Ari, what a great question. Towards the tail end of the show, do Muslims know the capital sins? Yeah, they know them. But as to whether or not the concept of 7 deadly sins can be found within Islam, they don't have that same framework. They may be aware of them, but they don't have that same framework. Now, within the world of Islam, they do have what they would call major sins, and they have what they would call minor sins as well. So those major sins are, to them, they're great, they are. But, early on, they tried to mimic Pope St. Gregory's 7 deadly sins, but they were different. They were different. For instance, one of them that they consider to be a deadly sin is magic. So they're different from the numbering of Pope St. Gregory. Now, they did copy Pope St. Gregory the Great in utilizing 7. Now, off the top of my head, I don't remember all of them, but I do remember that I was fascinated that magic was one of them. Magic was one of them. Another one of them was being a coward in war. Did you know that? That shows me that the nature of Islam is one that we simply have got to lament, because one of the deadly sins for them was being a coward in war. So there's an enormous difference between the sins in Islam, which are not the same kind of moral framework that we have within Catholicism, and that's what we have in our Catholic faith. Because in our Catholic faith, according to the Bible, we rely on the Bible, which is divine revelation. Those 7 deadly sins are what are known as root vices, and they lead to other they lead to many other sins. As Aquinas noted, they will cause daughter sins. And when in Islam, it is different. It is different. The layout is different. So is there any kind of an overlap? There is. They don't have it defined as 7 the way we do. Although they've laid out 7 before, they don't have it defined in the way we do. So that is a great question, though. Really, really good, and we appreciate that one. That was a knockout one that we got towards the end of the show, right at the tail end. Right at the tail end, we got a great one in. Now, as we come towards the end of wrapping up the doors to the dojo, as we come towards the tail end of wrapping up the doors of the dojo, we want to thank you all. Thank you all for an incredible week. It is our first full week being on every weekday. And we look forward to being with you every weekday going forward. Every weekday going forward. Every weekday, 11 a.m. Central Time. 11 a.m. Central Time to 12 p.m. Central Time. Or depending on where you're at, maybe you're in Eastern Standard Time. But we're happy to be with you all. We are beyond thrilled and pumped. We're very happy. We're thrilled to be here. And we want to remind you, in the upcoming week, we got a lot for you all. We have so much that we're going to be tackling. We have a lot of incredible guests that we're going to have on. Indeed, we've got, let's give you a little bit of a sneak peek. We've got priests coming on. Probably in a few weeks, we've got a bishop coming on. We've got great theologians, great scholars, shows on the Eucharist, shows on the papacy with scholars galore. We have tons of incredible theology coming your way. But we got to remind you, you got to stick around. You got to show up. And we're happy to be here with you. Remember, every weekday morning, 11 a.m., we kick it off. We go all the way, a full hour, knocking it out of the park by the grace of the Lord with theology. And it's not over, faithful. You got to stick around. There's a lot more programming to come, a lot more theology coming your way. We are beyond thrilled. We are beyond pumped. We love being with you. And before we wrap it up, shout out to the amazing M.L. Ross, who says, just wanted to say thank you. I've learned so much since I started listening to you. Have a blessed weekend. Thank you so much, brother M.L. Ross. You are incredible. You're amazing and faithful. We will be back again. And we can't wait to be back again. We're back with you Monday morning. Faithful, enjoy a Diet Coke. Enjoy a Diet Coke and think about me when you enjoy it. We love you all.
St. Faustina's.
We love it. We love it, Faithful. How you all doing? How are you all doing? You know what? I want to hear that prayer. My bad.
Grant it love and the light of thy spirit, and give power to the words of priests, so that hardened hearts might be brought to repentance and return to thee, O Lord. Lord, give us holy priests. Thou thyself maintain them in holiness. O divine and great high priest, may the power of thy mercy accompany them everywhere, and protect them from the devil's traps and snares, which are continually being set for the souls of priests. May the power of thy mercy, O Lord, shatter and bring to naught all that might tarnish the sanctity of priests. For thou canst do all things. Amen. Virgin most powerful, pray for us.
Oops. That was great. That was a lot of fun. ML Ross, I want to thank you for your support, brother. I'm glad I was able to thank you on the air, on radio. Thank you so much, brother. It truly does mean a lot when we hear testimonies like that our work has helped you in any way, or that our work has touched you. It means a lot to us. Faithful, you all are incredible. Ari, I'm gonna throw a tomato at Ari, man. I thought Ari was gonna watch the show, but it's all right. Ari probably had a long night. I know I did. Went to bed late, man. It was a long day yesterday. But we're back in the saddle today. How y'all doing? Y'all having a great one? We hope you're all. We don't hope you're having a good day. We hope you're having a fantastic one. And we're gonna open it up. We're gonna continue for half an hour because I think Virgin Most Powerful Radio wants me back on the air. Oh, there's Ari. Ari, how you doing, Ari? Okay. I think they want me back in the air to announce a theology conference. Let me see. Okay. Pacific time. I think we're back on in about an hour. So let's do half an hour, man. Then I'll get me a coffee, man. Man, I'm filled with energy, and then I'm going to hit the gym again later. But let me pin the link so you all can come back here. Or if you don't have to come back here. If you all want to send a question in, we'll tackle it. Pin the link. Pin the link. How y'all doing today? Good. There you go, Mac. How you doing, man? I'm glad you're doing well, Heretic. Holostang, man. How you doing, Holostang? How are you, brother? Holostang, where's the brother B Mitch? And where's Abel, man? Where are they at, man? Where are they at, man? Shout out to them, man. Where's my man B Mitch, man? B Mitch hiding under a rock. Where's my man Abel? Hiding under a rock, man? Don't be a hater, man. Come on, man. Why you got haters, man? Why we got haters, man? There he is. There he is. Oh, there he is. I don't hear him speaking, though. There he is. Where's Abel, man? Where are you all at, man? There they are. Oh, there they are, man. There you are, man. There we go, man. The global 7-0 cake. First leg 4-0, second leg 3-0. Harry Kane will be scoring goals like that with one eye. With one eye, it'd be cake, man. PSG, it'd be cake. I mean, it's done, man. We're the champs, B Mitch. B Mitch just might as well already, although we already have our name engraved on the trophy, might as well engrave it again. Might as well engrave it again. Yeah, I mean, it's done for. Where's Abel, man? Abel. Oh, come on, Dembele, man. We'll take him out. We'll injure him early, man. We'll get him injured early. Sorry, don't worry about it, man. We're going to injure him early, man. We'll injure him early, haters. Got a bunch of haters here, man. I need my coffee. I'll get a coffee in a bit. That's all right, man. Hey, man, I'm going to repeat what Abel would say. A win's a win, man. According to Abel, a win's a win, man. Any which way will do it, man. I'll take it any which way, man. Is that Ari? What's up, Ari? Freaking image, man.
You know though. You know what I
What?
found out? There are people that think that my profile pictures are always really funny.
They
So
are.
I can never disappoint.
They are.
The
They're
people
great.
that like my profile pictures, I can never disappoint with it. So
No, I gotta give you. I gotta give it to you. They're real good. They're really good.
yeah. How are you doing,
Phenomenal. Great. Much better this morning, man. I got a little bit of rest.
dude? I literally, oh my gosh, I had a bit of a rough night because I couldn't sleep as well. But
Yeah,
I'm glad that I at least was able to catch the.
Oops, you broke up there. You're able to what? You there? Uh-oh, I think we lost Ari. I don't know, maybe your internet went out, Ari? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We lost Ari, man. We lost her audience. I'll remind you all, if you all have any questions, 20 more minutes we're going to go. We'll tackle any and all questions. Any and all questions. Where are you, Abel? Where's Abel, man? Where's Abel, man? Come on, man. Where are you, Abel? Man, Abel, I love Abel, man. I love Abel, but, you know. Oh, there he is. He's there, man. He's like this. I'm here. I'm here. Oh, man. I mean, PSG will be cake, Abel. It's over, man. We're the champs, man. We won already, man. Might as well put I know we already have our name on the trophy. Might as well engrave it again. We're the champs, man. The champs. Hey, what's up, Ari? You're back.
Yeah, sorry. It's because here's what happens: is I'm using my iPhone.
Uh-huh.
Every single time that I if I come on StreamYard and somebody calls me, the audio just completely cuts off, and I freaking
StreamYard
hate
bug,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
StreamYard
so-
bug, yeah.
And I freaking hate it. So I had to
Yeah.
get back in, had to get back out and come back in.
Gotcha.
It was Eric that was calling me, and I was like, "Dang it!"
Uh-oh.
I'll call him later, but it's fine.
Good.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
So so I know I asked the question at the end about whether Muslims, whether they have something similar to like the seventh deadly sin and all that.
Yeah.
What does it seem? Maybe I'm not Captain Genius over here, but like, what does it seem that Islam seems to have copied a lot of what Christians do, like
'Cause they did.
especially like Catholicism?
Yeah, they did.
It's
They
kind of like
copied a
I
whole
feel like
lot.
it's kind of like a ripoff, you know?
Yeah, like a cheap ripoff. No, it truly is a cheap ripoff. Yeah, and there's a famous hadith that does list out. You call them destructive sins, but they're different, of course. They're different, and the way the numbering is different, and everything. Even the explanations are different. But it's a cheap ripoff. It really, truly is. I mean, in all charity, and I'm being as charitable as can be. Muhammad was very ignorant. He didn't understand the Christian religion. And he didn't understand these things. So he pretty much, he ripped off what he could, concocted a lot of lies, and, was able to retain certain things that he ripped off. Certain things he didn't understand, he made a mess of. And then, of course, the other stuff he just made up. pulled it out of where. Yeah.
But like, okay, but the thing is, I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but like, if I understand correctly, like Muhammad was illiterate, right? Like he couldn't write at all.
We don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
we don't know. It's possible. We don't know that. People.
Because I've heard Muslims say that like Muhammad was illiterate, so he couldn't have written it. He said, but he probably did have somebody write it for him.
I mean, that's possible that he could have had a scribe. It's possible. The tradition that you find is that he was unlettered, which people will say, well, that means he was illiterate. It's possible. It's possible that he was. And the reason they like saying that, Muslims like saying that, they prefer that, is because they will then say that that will support that he truly did receive divine revelation from Allah. But there are some scholars that interpret it differently. Now, today, according to Dr. Gabriel Said Reynolds, who is the top Islamic scholar in the world, they'll say that even though he had no formal literacy, he could at least, he wasn't fully illiterate. So, yeah, he probably was able to read and write some, but that doesn't change the fact that he was not smart, and he definitely could not read well. He probably wasn't completely illiterate, but he couldn't read well, which is why he made all kinds of chronological errors.
Because I've been learning a little bit, about Islam, and I've also been learning a bit about Mormonism as well. And honestly, if I'm being really honest, I can't even tell who's worse, man. I can't tell who's worse, whether it's Joseph Smith or Muhammad.
It's both pretty much the burning in the belly, Ari. I mean, both pretty much. It's bull. Yeah, they're both horrible.
It's insane.
I'm gonna probably say Islam's worse because
yeah.
Well, I think Islam's way worse because Islam advocates for violence. So,
well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in terms of their heresies, I mean, they're both horrific in terms of the Christological and Trinitarian heresies. But I would give that edge to Islam because of the you know what I mean? The advocacy of
yeah. What about the Black Hebrew Israelites? What do you think about that? Like, if you
had to be very clear, they just have no set divine system. They don't have a defined system. So, again, the majority of them probably have as much reading comprehension as Muhammad, who could read a little bit, but not a whole lot. And their theology is just atrocious. It's just terrible. But there's really no set belief system there.
Yeah, and I think what I've noticed about the Black Hebrew Israelites, and I've noticed this a lot in debates as well. I've been watching a couple of them, just to kind of learn a little bit and kind of see the way they kind of work and everything.
Sure.
And I've noticed that they're very sneaky, they're very sly, but like not only that, but like it's like you ask them to explain their theology, right? And then a lot of times they'll go to supposed history that they have.
Yeah,
but then when you go back and you fact check what they say, like it's not even anything like what they literally just said.
Yeah.
Like they make themselves kind of. It's crazy because like obviously a lot of them are very ego driven.
Oh yeah.
But like what surprises me is like how can somebody be so ego driven yet make themselves be like the victim? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just because like I know a lot of people saw like the interaction yesterday between Eric and the Black Hebrew Israelite, and how the Black Hebrew Israelite was very like sneaky, very sly. He just poor Eric, like he was really like he was told one thing and then this guy pulled off a whole nother thing just to bash Catholicism, and it really sucks that like they take advantage of people like that, and I was like, how can you sleep well at night knowing that you do people dirty like that? Like I don't understand, like, to be really, because here's the thing, here's what's really funny is that the entire time last night people were saying we still have no clue what this guy actually believes.
Yeah.
Regarding to the Black Hebrew Israelite, because he spent 20 minutes on a PowerPoint presentation about the dark history of supposed Catholicism.
Sure.
But he didn't even explain his faith. He didn't even
didn't even go over his own.
Like nobody and Eric went all in. He talked about the sacraments, rosary. You know how Eric is. Like he will give you a reason why you should be Catholic and all that.
Eric is great.
And he did really great with his point, because he even included scripture more than anything, which was beautiful. But like, but like this guy, he literally gave us this nothing. And like he kept trying to say like, oh, this is on topic and all that, and it's like, dude, you're literally your entire 20 minutes was bashing Catholicism. How does that even show us what you actually believe? Like I still like honestly, and here's what I'm having
You
trouble
don't even know
finding.
what they believe. Yeah.
I'm still having trouble finding
They don't
what is it
have.
that these
Yeah.
guys actually
Yeah.
believe,
I know.
because
There's nothing.
they pulled out that card every single time that I've seen. Like I've looked into Captain Tazariak, I've looked into a
Pseudo
couple of his
captain.
boys and all that, and it's just there's not a single thing that you can say, oh yeah, this shows me exactly what they believe in. In a debate, all it is, it's just them talking over each other, them cursing at people,
Yeah.
them telling them
Yelling
that
and
they live
yelling
in
and
a
acting nasty. Yep.
certain kind of university and all that. So
Yep.
it's just it's just like I don't know how you do it, like because when you go against them, like I'm really shocked that you like you do very well, because I'm like, where are you getting your information from when it comes to going against them? Because they literally like, no matter where you look,
Well,
like you can't
I
really find
just
anything.
I will agree on a topic that we will set out a particular. For instance, yeah, good point. That's actually a great question. How can you prepare to debate them? Well, number one, by the grace of the Lord, I know my Bible very well. And even if I don't know where they're going to go, I can go there and I can read the text in Greek and exegete it. There's nowhere in planet Earth where any of them are going to be able to do that. Nowhere. The other thing is, I know my church history extremely well. So they're in a world of trouble when they face me. The other thing is, I try to keep it focused. A debate on Catholicism versus Black Hebrew Israelite is not going to work, because it'll be all over the place. It can never even be structured, because you can cover 100 different topics. You've got to focus it in general. Okay, what about Catholicism? Mary, Christ, papacy, canon. We need to focus it and hone it in. When we do that, perfect. We have a focused topic. You hold their feet to the fire. When you do that and you hold their feet to the fire, it's game over. There's not a Black Hebrew Israelite on the planet that is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with a Christian that knows their material. It just isn't going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. Kudos and shout out to Tazariak. I love the guy because he's a good sport. And I've roasted him alive twice, and I'll do it more times. And I'll roast all his boys alive. But
I don't know. I really don't think
debate
his
some of
boys
them.
would ever. I highly doubt his boys would ever.
Doesn't seem like they want to. We've had so many run. Doesn't seem like they want to debate, and I don't blame them. They don't know their Bible. They don't. They rely on trying to be aggressive. Well, I'm aggressive too. So welcome to the party. You got one person. You got both people that are aggressive. Yet one of the aggressive parties knows their material, so it's not going to go well for them.
But the surprising thing about it, like last night between the interaction, was that the guy was very, very like, and it seemed really strange to me. I've never seen a calm Hebrew Israelite like ever.
Oh,
Like
okay.
he was very calm and stuff, but obviously like when he pulled his stuff, then that's when that's where it's like, oh, that's why you're really calm, because you're about to completely
Be
you're about
nasty,
to for
yeah.
20 minutes you're about to completely bash Catholicism.
Yeah.
And he kept claiming like, oh, this is history, I didn't make it up, and he kept trying to quote like Catholic books and all that stuff to twist his theology.
Sure.
I fact checked them on some of the things, and I'm like, dude, that's not even what they were actually trying to say.
Yep.
Like, why are you like? And here's the thing, and like Eric even told him, he's like, if you're gonna point about all the bad things that Catholicism, within the people of Catholicism and all that, I was like, then why don't we talk about all the bad stuff that you guys have done too? Because I'm like, because no matter where you look, no matter what denomination you look at, like it's always you're always gonna find something.
Yeah.
You're always gonna find something within each religion and all that. But it's just, I don't know. I really don't know how people can be like that. Because I know with Captain Tazariak, I know like he usually kind of yells and all that stuff. But this guy was calm, but the moment that he speaks, it was just completely just like
vile.
It was disgusting. And I was like, dude, I'm like, and like it's funny because like Eric's chat, they were like, dude, just get to the point, like, like, and yeah. So it's just, it was it was kind of messed up. And to be really honest, I was kind of like, man, I wish I'm like, if this was William, because Eric doesn't know any better, because he's not a debater. This was like, I think like his third debate, but that's only because the other two he did them on Brian's channel.
Okay.
But still,
Eric will learn. Eric is great. He'll learn. and he's a good guy. He knows his stuff very well. It's just whenever people, gaslight you and they're dishonest, it's difficult, especially when you're on their platform. But yeah,
Mm.
it'll be good.
I know, yeah. I mean, there were. I do think he has potential to be really good, though. Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like if he keeps hanging out with you, I don't know.
He's
I could
going
see
to.
like,
He's going
yeah.
to, man.
I
He's
feel
going
like
to.
he's gonna learn. He's gonna realize like, oh, maybe I can take some tips from
Yeah, he is,
William on
and,
how to
and
do all
we'll
that stuff.
even debate together and what have you. We'll do stuff together. So yeah, no, Eric is great. He's going to be fine. We'll
Yeah.
eventually work on getting debates together with him. We'll both sharpen our material, and we'll do stuff together. He's great. I love the guy.
Yeah. And one last thing. Do you agree that like when you like, because I know like there's a lot of new Catholics out here or
Mhm.
Christians or just in general where
Mhm.
they jump into these debates, they get really like excited and stuff. But then when they get crushed in the debate, it kind of worries me because like I'm like I can't imagine like losing a debate because then it just I feel like it kind of just looks really bad on our side, and I feel like it could like dismotivate people
It
to not
can.
want to be
Yeah,
Catholic and all that.
yeah, it can definitely turn people the other way depending on how somebody. Let's say somebody has a big platform and they do terrible in a debate, but they've built that big platform because for one reason or another they went viral, but they're not good debaters. They're a new convert. Well, number one, they shouldn't even be debating. If you're a new convert, if you barely are going through OCIA, you barely completed it and become Catholic, you've got no business debating or teaching. You've got none. So there's a possibility that somebody is doing that and they go out there and they debate and they get annihilated. Yeah, it can definitely affect other people. So that's why I always recommend you gotta know your stuff before ever getting into the debating arena. You gotta know your material, be sharp in it, have a proficiency, know your weaknesses, know your strengths. I mean, for myself, I am very well aware of what my weaknesses are. I'm never gonna get in a debate with a Muslim on Arabic. It'd be stupid. I'd get crushed. So I wouldn't do that. I would never debate the Arabic of the Quran. So know your limitations, know where you excel, know your material, and you'll do very well. But a lot of these new converts, they just don't know that, and they can make a mess of things.
Yeah, and I feel like it really does poorly just reflect on our side, and it really sucks. Like I get it, like people are excited, and this is why like even like there's people that like reach out to me. They're like, oh, I just joined the church and I'm thinking about sharing my faith online. And I was like, well, don't do apologetics yet.
Mhm.
I said like don't do. I'm like there's a different way that you could come about it without having to do apologetics.
Mhm.
I'm like, for example, the way that I do it, and that's what I told him. Either do something similar to like an interview style where I bring in actual apologetics.
Mhm.
I'm like, because if you look on my channel, I'm not teaching anything because I don't consider myself proficient enough to be able to teach anything. If anything, I have the guest teach and I ask the questions and all that. I'm like, you can either do that or you can share your experiences within being in the Catholic Church. I'm like, there's a lot of people that love
Great.
hearing testimonies and love hearing like experiences. Like, what was your first mass like? Like, as a new
Yeah,
convert, and
of course.
talk about what it felt like and all that. I'm like, those are all things that you can do.
There's a niche for everybody, no doubt.
Yeah, so that's what I try to tell like the new converts and all that. I try to tell them like that's kind of a little bit of a similar route. I'm like, don't try to go rogue and try to like do
Yep.
apologetics immediately. I'm like, you're gonna suck at it. Like, no offense.
That's a great point. Very, very good point. You're right. Mhm.
Yeah, but anyways, that's all the questions I had. I
Hey,
just wanted
Ari,
to come
thank you
back
so
to
much. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
We'll talk soon.
Diet Coke sucks. Shout out to Nestorius, my homie. The OG homie. We love Nestorius.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to go live later so I can break the streak.
No, you can't do that. I will literally fly over to Texas and beat you if you do that. Come on. I will take all your Diet Coke away.
Oh, that would be a nightmare. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, anyways, I can't wait till tomorrow because. But
be
by the
great.
way, have you told people about it yet?
Yeah, yesterday I announced it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yesterday, yeah, yesterday. You didn't
I
watch.
was gonna say, but I think I was watching, but I fell asleep.
Yeah,
listening to you. So.
Yeah, we're on.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Talk to you soon.
Mhm.
Okay, bye. All right, everybody. This is great, man. Guys, I don't know if you know, but this guy he's trolling you guys, man. He's having a blast trolling you too. He's having a blast trolling you guys. I mean, he's probably laughing I doubt that's even a female. It's probably a guy laughing at you all, man. Probably laughing so hard. He's referring to Kyle King. Kyle King isn't even a debater. He's not even a debater. He's like one of the mildest. He is probably the mildest Orthodox. I don't even think you can call him an apologist. By the way, I have nothing bad to say about him, but he's not a debater. So Astro Mormon Wine Mom is messing with you, teasing you all, knows that Cassian Kyle is not a debater. His apologetics is very beginner level. He's a good guy, though. He's a good guy, but he's teasing you guys, all right? So you can know you're being teased, man. You're being teased. Shout out to Mac Shank, the man. How you doing, brother? Hope you're doing well, my friend. Mac is asking, hey, William, curious in your thoughts. Adrian from Sips with Sarah took a break from apologetics, stating your relationship is most important. Conceding that they can help with that. What is the balance? I have no clue what happened with Adrian. Now, here's where Ari could help. I wish Ari would have been here when that came up. I have no idea what happened there. He took a break. I don't know. Is he okay? I have no idea. Now, I can give you my advice. My advice is, of course, I always give, of course, even Ari knows. Sometimes, and, that priority's got to go to my daughter, to my little girl. Meaning I always make sure that I can anchor things, anchor time in my family. So you got to be able to have that right balance. You have to have that, meaning the other balance is this. Let me lay it out for you, Mac. It can definitely get hectic, there's no doubt, especially the bigger your channel goes and the bigger the material gets. But for me, this is what I do full time, meaning that I have a schedule to where I'm doing stuff in the morning, then the evening. You've got to, here's my other advice. You have to have a particular order. Make sure you're always getting to, give me 1 second. Hold on. All right, I needed to correct. My cat was moving my thing. So here's the one thing. You always got to make sure you got to get to mass. You got to get to your sacraments. You got to pray. How is your prayer life? Is what I always ask people. I always ask people this. How is your prayer life? This is what I always ask. And here's the one thing that I always say, and I said it last night. I have never met anyone that has ever had a good prayer life, that prays the rosary daily, that are going to tell you, well, I regret praying the rosary daily. You're not going to regret it. I tell you right now. Have that order. You've got to have God first, always. You've got to have time for your family. And then, of course, you need to put your love into the ministry, your apologetics, your content, your debates. If your apologetic material is jumping above your spiritual life, it's going to become dry. It'll become pride-driven. I can tell you right now, during Lent, the amount of time that I spent praying, especially with monks, with priests, was more than I've ever prayed in my entire life. Sometimes upwards to 4 hours or more on certain days. You need to have your spiritual life in order. If you don't, you're going to run into all kinds of problems. Here's the one thing I've always said, Max Shank. If people are doing debates, if they're writing, they're doing theology, doing shows the way I'm doing, debating out there, traveling, and you're not getting to mass, what are you doing? Are you doing it for pride? What are you doing? And then here's the other thing that people may get tripped up on. The idea of, well, I've got to have an answer for everything. There are times where, by the way, I can give you an example. My brother Rosarium or Lena Molina or others, sometimes they may ask me something and I'll get stumped and I'll say, oh my goodness, and I'll pull my phone out and I'll take a photo. And I'll say, I'm going to do research on that. Don't feel the pressure of thinking you need to know every answer. By the grace of the Lord, the majority of questions asked to me, I'm able to give answers to. The others, I will do research. You need to be consistent, but you got to have a consistent spiritual life. I have no idea why he took a break. I'm glad he didn't quit. But the other thing is, if you do apologetics without prayer, if you don't have a prayer life, you're going to run into all kinds of problems. You've got to have daily prayer. You've got to meditate on the Bible. You got to partake of the Eucharist. You know who I'm reminded of, Max Schenk? The great St. Augustine, who was brilliant, but he had a deep prayer life, not only studying. He had a deep prayer life. And then here's the other thing. Stay humble. Stay humble. Always be humble. All the time. 1 Peter 3:15. Always be ready to give a defense with gentleness and reverence. If you lose your ability to be humble, you've lost the plot. You've lost the plot. Simple as that. Yep. Max Schenk, great question, brother. Great one. Did Ari leave? Oh, yeah. Ari's still there. Oh, okay. He put a video up. I didn't know that. I wasn't aware that he had put a video up. All right. I love you, Max Schenk. The Lord bless you, brother. I love you, brother. Shout out to the incredible Little Flower. God bless you, Little Flower. Thank you for your phenomenal support. Thank you so much. You all support, I'll remind you all, you allow us to do what we do here. We're able to do ministry because of your support, and we are incredibly grateful, faithful. We're very grateful for your support. Thank you so much. And please do me an enormous favor. Send my regards to St. Francis Baby Toe. Hopefully I'll see him later on when I go live later on in the evening. I'm tempted to not go live to break Ari's streak of shout out to Nestorius. I'm tempted to, but I might. Little Flower says, when you consider the different soils when debating or sharing the gospel for people, some are a soil of 1, some are a soil of 5. 1 meaning they do not have ears to listen, but to only speak, and 5 having an open heart to listen. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But you know what is so incredible about that? Little Flower? The Bible tells you that. You're 1,000% right. The Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 13, verse 15 says, for this people's heart is waxed gross. Their ears are dull of hearing. And their eyes, they've been closed. You got it right there. Their ears are dull of hearing. But we don't only have that there, Little Flower. The Gospel of St. John, chapter 8, verse 43. Why do you not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear my word, they're not hearing. They refuse to hear. They don't want to hear. They're shutting out God. And 2 Timothy 4 tells you, they will not endure sound doctrine. They shall turn away their ears from the truth. Even our Lord, truth incarnate, they rejected him. Now, I have my thoughts, Little Flower. Why do people refuse to listen? I have my thoughts. Their identity is at stake. Because if they accept Catholicism, they've got to leave a community. They've got to admit years of error. Yesterday, if you watched the show I did with Gary, we had an evangelical come up trying to defend the shorter canon. And he was flailing. He did a horrible job. Even Gary noted, what are you arguing for? You could tell that he was struggling. He was freaking out. He could not defend Protestantism. It was a nightmare scenario. He could not defend his Protestant religion. But his very identity was at stake. He had to do everything he could to try and fight tooth and nail. Lord, I know that I don't belong here. I know it's not the fullness, but I'm clinging on. Why? Maybe pride and ego. They got in the way for Augustine for a long time. It's a barrier, Little Flower. It's a barrier. And he just wanted to hold on to not be wrong. But he was wrong, and it eventually led to the point where he had to admit, well, we can't even trust in the canon. Eventually, well, it's got to be faith in the end. We can't fully trust in it being infallible. That is where you're eventually going to go. And you know what? I hate to break it to you all. But what eventually happens is this. Eventually, they end up outside of the faith altogether. Look at Dr. Stephen Namesh, whom I know. He was a Protestant. And if you don't know the name, well, I'll tell you. He was a prominent big-time name. He went from fighting against the Eucharist, truly being the body and blood of Christ, fighting because he knew the Bible shows it. He knows the early church fathers show it. Fighting against that reality. To eventually, you know what happens to him? He becomes a Unitarian. Then after that, he becomes an agnostic. And now he's outside the faith altogether. Pride and ego will destroy you, little flower. It will pulverize your faith. It'll pulverize your very being. That is why St. Augustine said, and I'm going to read him, many resist the truth, not from lack of evidence, but from love of error. St. John Chrysostom, he said that when people, and by the way, I'm looking at these quotes because they are providing commentary in the verses I read from our Lord. The great golden mouth one, Chrysostom, said that when people sometimes hear the truth, they fight against it as if they're fighting an enemy. You are 1,000% right, little flower. 1,000% right. Stunned. God bless you, little flower. Thank you so much for your support. You're incredible. Jesus Talks Ari. Yes, I can, and I will take a photo. And I'm going to bring an incredible guest to join me. For Monday, can you do a show on the veneration of icons and statues and whether it is biblical? I definitely will. You don't want church fathers? Do you want church fathers too? Or do you want a two-parter? Biblical and then early fathers. We can do that. Do you want a two-parter? Or do you only want Bible? I would imagine you want a two-parter, right? Let me know. Let me know, Ari. Shout out to Mac Shank, the man. Mac, thank you for your support. Let us know, Ari. Mac Shank says, to answer your question, brother, Adrian is doing great, but he was back and forth about his apologetics, which prompted my earlier question. Okay. I'm glad he's doing great. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I like Adrian, man. I got to meet Adrian over there in California. Now, I don't watch Adrian's material. I don't watch it. But that doesn't say anything bad about him at all. At all. I love Adrian. Adrian's great. I have nothing bad to say about him. I just don't have time to watch all this material. I mean, think about it. I'm doing this full time. Morning show, evening show, writing, reading, producing new material. I don't have the time to watch other stuff. So every now and then, if a clip is taken and sent to me, I'll watch it. But I'll tell you one thing. I love Adrian. And I'll tell you one thing about Adrian. The guy is so humble. He is a humble guy. He's very well-spoken. I love Adrian. I got nothing bad to say about him. So I'm glad. Good to hear, Mac Shank. Now, Mac, is he taking a long break or is he gone, for good? I'd love to know. Okay, two-parter, do Bible. Okay. All right, sounds good. Hey, Adrian's great, man. Oh, yeah. Got nothing bad to say about Adrian. The guy's great. I love that guy, man. I love that guy, man. Had a wonderful time meeting him and hanging out with him. Had a wonderful time hanging out with him. I wonder why he didn't go to the Trend conference. Weird. I'm sure he would have been invited. Probably family duties. Yeah, likely family duties. No, there is no one humbler than the humblest of all the humblest. Oh, is he a humbler, man? I don't know, man. I don't know where his argument is, man. The humblest of all the humblest. Faithful, we're going to close the doors of the dojo with that. Unless another question gets snuck in, we're going to close the doors of the dojo. But we're faithful. I know 99% of me is leaning to do a show in the evening, but that 1% says if I don't do the show, then Ari can't keep her streak alive, as saying Nestorius, my homie, and I'll have broken the streak. So like a little, that 1% of me is telling me, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I want to give a shout out to all of y'all for tuning in. You all are amazing. You all are phenomenal. 99% chance William is back later. I love you all dearly. You guys and gals are amazing. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I want to take you all. I did. I sure did. I want to thank you all for tuning in. When I first saw Adrian's video pop up, I thought it was a troll. So many that do for clicks. I'm done and leaving. I don't know. Are y'all sure it wasn't him joking around? Maybe it was an April Fool's video that he put out a few weeks ago. I don't know. It could have been an April Fool's one. I don't know. Who knows? But I want to give you all a shout out for showing up. Thank you all for I hope you all enjoyed the radio show. Did you all love it? Thank you all for showing up. Thank you all for your support. Now, I do want to tell you all, y'all are amazing. Y'all are incredible. Thank you so much for your support. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing here without your support. You faithful are tremendous. You all are amazing. And there's a 99% chance we're back again later. Likely. Faithful, I love you all. We're going to close it with a wonderful, wonderful outro of us. I love you all. William is not going to be back in Virgin Most Powerful Radio. I just found out it's another day. So William is going to hit the gym again. I love you all. Pray for me, faithful. I'll be praying for you all dearly.
Anima mea.
Oh, I got it. Super chat. And honor them all. I honor all of them. Yep, that is William. I honor all of them. Thank you, Max Shank, for the support. Not April Fool's. Whoa. Definitely gone for now, but it seemed to be mostly about his new son. Personally, I think he'll be back. Good. Good. We love that. We love that. And we love Adrian. By the grace of the Lord. Max Shank, thank you for your support. And I keep my word. I answer every super chat, and I highlight all of them. I love you all dearly. See you all in a moment, faithful.
Magnificat anima mea Dominum.
Et exultat spiritus meus in Deus salutarim meo,
quia respexit humilitatem mansile sue, ex enim ex hoc beata medicent omnes generationes.
My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior.
Et misericordia eius a progenie in progenies dimentibus eum.
Sit potentiam in brachio suum, dispersit superbos mente cordis sui.
Deposuit potentes tessere, et exaltavit humile.
Suriente simple diponis, et divides dimisit in annes.
Suscepit Israel puerum suum, recordatos misericordiae suae.